Hey guys, Martin here. After the positive feedback on my first video about Umbra, I decided to make another one, now explaining in detail some of the gameplay mechanics and also talk about release date and that kind of stuff. Now first someone was asking, are there going to be passive skills in Umbra? And the answer is yes. I mean, here on the blog, on the official website, they illustrated like an early version of the passive skill tree. They can of course customize a character, and as I said before, there won't be any classes in Umbra, so the game in that kind of sense is more like an Elder Scrolls game where you have one character and that you build then however you want it to build. And here with the passive skill tree you can put, for example, points into warrior, tank, rogue, wizard, so you can really shape your character in that way. And now we're gonna go to the gameplay mechanics, and that's the really interesting stuff. Now those are Kickstarter goals that have been achieved, but they give information on what the game is gonna be about. Now the first thing is there's gonna be a global leaderboard. So what took Diablo 3 some time to get, they're gonna have right from the start. So the player from all over the world can start to work on making to the top in one of several categories, and there's different ones. For example, highest level, highest damage, richest player with the biggest enemy kill count, and so more. So there's going to be that kind of competitive aspect in the game, which I think is pretty good, but now the more interesting stuff comes. Multiplayer Hero Defense Mode. And this I think is amazing. Let me read it to you. And now we start to implement multiplayer into Umbra, step by step. This mode will allow you to play in a robust map, where you will have to defend a temple and its magical artifact, while also trying to complete several missions outside of the temple. Coordination and skill will be required to successfully complete this mode. We will also add enemy randomization to make each run a bit different, and will create extra quests to take advantage of the new multiplayer component. And yes, this mode will be playable either at LAN or online. So there's going to be an online version of the game, and this hero defense mode means there's pretty much two things. Now the first thing is that you have to defend the temple, where waves of monsters are coming, but on the same time you have to do some quests. You have to leave the temple area, go out in the wilderness, go out in the forest, and do some quests there. And that really makes it interesting, like how are you going to coordinate a team? Like for example, do you keep 2 people defending the temple where 2 others go on questing? Or do you go, for example, clean the temple, clean the waves that are attacking, and then with 4 people go questing and then come back and make sure that, hope that you just make it in time so you can like defeat the next wave. Like this is going to be completely crazy, and if there's going to be leaderboards for that, should be a pretty interesting system. And now the next one comes. This one is even more interesting in my opinion. The Dungeon Challenge Mode. And this is the first part of Dungeon Challenge Mode. We start out with allowing players to create small dungeons from preset pieces. So there's going to be a modding possibility in the game. Like think about Heroes of Might and Magic 3, Map Editor, some kind of stuff, where you can create your own dungeon. So there's going to be, for example, you just have to pick the pieces together. There's going to be a very good creator. You don't need to be a programmer for that. You just need to put the pieces together and create your dungeon. You need to be creative though. You need to be creative and you need to be evil to make it as hard as possible so other players can't do it. Let's continue reading here. You will have access to some traps to try and kill other players. Oh, and enemies killed in the game will be recorded as captured and will be put to good use as they reinforce the protection of your dungeon. You need to spend some gold to participate in Dungeon Challenge, but if a player succeeds, he will win a lot of gold and be able to collect one special item from a selection established by Dungeon's creator. So you try to make a super hard dungeon, you put in traps, you put in different monster types, and then other people can like pay to do your dungeon. And if they complete the dungeon successfully, they get an item rewarded. If they fail, you get the gold. So it's this here says, if player loses, he will lose another amount of gold equal to the gold of the entrance fee, and this gold will go to Dungeon's creator. So this is really interesting. Like for example, we can make a game, or say for example, okay guys, you create dungeons and I'm gonna try to beat them, and then it's gonna be interesting to figure out, okay, who actually managed to put together the hardest dungeons, which is the dungeon gives you most trouble with, or which dungeon is easy, and so on. Really interesting, but this is not the end. Next thing is a replay mode added to Dungeon Mini Mode and to Dungeon Challenge Full Mode if unlocked. Now this will allow you to see exactly how other players take on the challenge of the dungeon you've created, so you can work to make it as deadly as possible. This way you'll know how placing an extra trap over here, adding an enemy ambush over there, and creating one more dead end. Might be the trick to completely destroying those full enough to enter your creation. So, for example, you can go to sleep and then you see, okay, 10 people tried my dungeon and one guy actually managed to beat it. And then you can go back and like, look, you can look at this run from the one guy that actually managed to beat your dungeon. And can see, okay, what tricks did he use how did he kite? How did he play with the monsters? How did he avoid the traps that you placed? And then you can use that information to make your dungeon even stronger, or make a new dungeon that you try to surpass the old one. Really, really interesting, and I really look forward to this. And then there's also like the dungeon challenge full mode, where you're gonna have even more customization options. But I think that pretty much covers some of the system the game is gonna have, and I think it's pretty cool. Now the next thing is they did an interview where we were talking a bit about Diablo and other games, and first thing was about the story. Now he said about the story, Diablo's story was very childlike indeed. In Umbra, demons won't come in front of you, reveal their plan, if that's the sense of your question. Well, this is pretty funny. The lead developer, Daniel Donui, he's a pretty cool guy apparently, and yeah, they also said something about other games they were inspired, or that inspired Umbra, and he said, for example, Diablo 3's quality of action is amazing. What I took from them is their spell effects and ergonomics with the UI, it's perfect at this level. And he criticizes the inability to play a toolbox character that needs some archetypes to be viable. What he is referring to is that in Diablo, to be successful in high grade rifts and have a strong character, you need to play a certain build. You can't just randomly put together whatever you want or say, oh, this skill is cool, because then you end up having a weak character. But I fully agree with that. I mean, that's one reason why me and many other people love Diablo so much, because combat is awesome, the action is awesome. It really feels like a cool gameplay, like it's so fluent, and it just makes fun playing it. And then he talks about Path of Exile, but on another level, which is also interesting. He says in Path of Exile, everything is great. We took inspiration from the potion system. The last patch was crazy with gem addition to skill tree. It's a game that takes some time to get into, but it's really worth it. And I would definitely advise you to test if you haven't already. And I also agree with that. I mean, I played Path of Exile for like 1 week or something, cleared all the free acts, did some mapping, and I had a lot of fun playing the game. And I didn't check Act 4 yet, but it's definitely something I should also do probably. And even like the Umbra developer agrees that Path of Exile is a great game. That also inspired Umbra a bit. Next, I'm going to talk about the Apocalyptic forms. Now, this is an exciting feature that allows your character to shapeshift into a personalized avatar, gaining access to different strengths and abilities. You can mix 3 of those different strengths and abilities to create your own personalized Apocalyptic form. A powerful form on a high cooldown that you can use for really tough emergency situations. Now, first I'm going to explain the first trait or strength that you can get, the Demon Wings. Demon Wings allow you to perform huge leaps and deal massive damage to enemies on impact, also allowing you to reach otherwise unreachable areas. You can see with the Demon form active and Demon Wings activated, the character is able to do stuff. Now, Body of Fire leaves a fire trait. Any fire source, even from enemy attacks, will heal the character. So you can use this to, for example, heal up or against fire boss, you can really take advantage. Third Arm allows you to equip a third weapon, which automatically attacks nearby enemies, which synergizes really well with all melee skills. So if you want to focus on a melee character, this might be a trait you want to integrate in your Apocalyptic form. Next we have the Aura of Death. This will raise undead wherever you go, which are then gonna start fighting for you until they die. So, and it keeps raising the undeads, and you see you powerfully increase your army if you want to play as kind of like a necromancer. Body of Shadows increases the dodge rating and movement speed, and also provides a short range teleport. So this is like a more defensive trait, but also very, very useful, and you can see how fast it is moving, and yeah. Rushing Horns will allow you to charge into enemies, dealing damage according to strength and speed. Kinda like a bit like Furious Charge. You can really use this, and as I said, it scales with strength and speed, so it really depends on the stats you wanna have. And last but not least, Tornado will bring enemies close to you. So you can really combo this with other Apocalyptic traits to really get a massive damage combo off. And yeah, you can mix 3 of those different powers to customize your own Apocalyptic form. And as I said, the form will be very powerful, but be on a long cooldown, so it really requires a tactical approach to make sure you only use it in the toughest situation and make use of this long cooldown effectively. Pretty good stuff. Now the other thing that's interesting to the game is the elemental effects, like how the environment interacts with your character. And for this, actually, let the lead developer or creator of the project, Daniel Dunlui, talk to you directly, like he's gonna show some gameplay footage and explain the system himself.
The second system we are presenting to you today is called Elemental Effect Interaction. This system manages interaction between fire, water, lightning and ice. Fire skills usually burn and spread on the ground, dealing damage over time to enemies. If a fire skill is cast on water or ice, the effect may be reduced or even inactive. Frost skills can freeze enemies or slow them down. Frost is effective combined with melee attacks, triggering additional shatter damage. Lightning can spread in water, hitting all nearby enemies. It can also stun any enemy in a wet state. An enemy enters a wet state when it is under the rain or walking in a river. This system balances the gameplay and allows you to create helpful combos. If a frozen enemy is burned, he unfreezes and enters a wet state. You can then use a lightning strike and stun him. It also means that frost and fire are not very effective together alone. These mechanics can also be used with the level design. Lightning will be very effective in a flooded area, and frost will be more effective in a snowy mountain. As you can see, it's really up to you to imagine and create your own gameplay.
Sounds pretty interesting. And last but not least, I want to talk about release date and so on. And they plan, in an interview here, they said they plan to start a technical alpha around November to December 2015. So even this year, there's going to be like a technical alpha. Very early version of the game, but it's going to be playable. And if you pre-order now a certain package, I think you get access to it. But maybe I'm also going to get some keys, who knows. And the launch date for Umbra is set to October 2016. It is a long wait, but seeing like all the systems that get implemented in the game, I'm fine with that. Like I don't want them to rush a game and like bring it out somehow with many bugs and so on. I want them to take their time, make sure the game is on a really high level, make sure they fix all the bugs and make sure the game is ready to release, and then at the end of next year, maybe we can play this game fully. We'll see. I mean, the graphics are still going to be nice then, because they are currently at such a high level with the CryEngine that shouldn't be an issue. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching. I'll be back.